Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. It's very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. But the leader of the gang was President Obama.
That the Obama administration manufactured and politicized intelligence during Trump's 2016 election.
December 9th, Obama calls a meeting in the White House. All the intelligence community is there, plus the Justice Department. You got Lynch, you got Comey, you got Clapper, you got Brennan.
All right, grace and peace, everybody. Let's get at it. You've heard this, so let's talk about it. The whole election kerfuffle that happened when President Trump ran the first time, it's coming to light that he might have been, that whole kerfuffle, that whole hugabaloo was probably manufactured by a president. That's crazy. Let's bring it in. Let's talk about it. Here we go.
They did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 of the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him. And Comey was there. And Clapper. The whole group was there. But the leader of the gang was President Obama.
He's a gang.
Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill.
So brand new revelations into the alleged Russia hoax, a trove of declassified documents revealing evidence that the Obama administration manufactured and politicized intelligence during Trump's 2016 election.
The documents released by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, described secret meetings after Trump's victory where Obama officials directed the intel community to leak reports that Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the U.S. election hack. This after the intelligence community repeatedly determined that Russia was not trying to influence the election by cyber means.
And earlier today, the Department of Justice confirmed that it received Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's criminal referral on bombshell claims that members of the Obama administration, quote, manufactured the Russia collusion hoax after she released documents on Friday. We had her on Friday night that reportedly show overwhelming evidence that Obama and his national security team laid the groundwork for the entire Russia collusion hoax. I probably annoyed the two of you more than any two people on earth for 3 long years trying to get information about the truth on that story.
And it all started back in 2016. And it wasn't just to keep him from winning the election in 2016. It was to undermine his presidency after he had already won. I want you to think of 3 dates in the interim between Election Day and Inauguration Day back in 2016, 2017. December 9th, Obama calls a meeting in the White House. All the intelligence community is there, plus the Justice Department. You got Lynch, you got Comey, you got Clapper, you got Brennan. They're all there. Obama says, we're not going to go with the intelligence community assessment. We're going to put that on hold. And they put together a new one. 3.5 weeks later, January 3rd, Chuck Schumer's on one of the Sunday shows, and he says, if you mess with the intelligence community, talking to President-elect Donald Trump, if you mess with the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. 3 days later, Sean.
Wow.
3 days later, January 6th at Trump Tower, the intelligence community, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, go up there to give President Trump what he believes is the defensive briefing all incoming presidents get. So he's expecting just the normal briefing. Instead, it's a setup. They go up there and brief him, and then they tell him about the dossier that they already know is false. And then it gets leaked to the press, and thereby giving it credibility when the press reports that Jim Comey, FBI director, briefed Donald Trump on the Russian dossier. It was all garbage, but it was all designed to undermine. This is where it began. The whole weaponization of government began here. And to your first point, Sean, you're right. We had figured this out several years ago, and we're covering this, and the only thing we had wrong was it was worse than we thought. That's the only thing we get wrong when we dig into these investigations. It's always worse than we thought.
One of the greatest hoaxes in journalism is crumbling, exposed. This hoax that the ABC ran as a 3-part series on Four Corners.
Tonight, we begin our special 3-part investigation into the story of the century, the election of US President Donald Trump and his ties to Russia. Next week, secrets, spies and useful idiots. We'll introduce you to key players accused of being compromised by Russia.
That hoax story obsessed America's media for more than 3 years, with all these fake claims that Donald Trump colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 election by hacking the computers of rival Hillary Clinton and releasing embarrassing emails. He knew all about it. And also that Russia might have blackmailed Trump over an encounter with Russian prostitutes. Well, the media was desperate for this to be true. They pretended it was true, even if they weren't sure it was true. They were gagging for it to be true.
He may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
This president needs to be impeached.
You're confident that at least some Trump associates will wind up in jail?
Wow. If I was betting, I would say yes.
Well, I think they're all going to end up together in prison.
I'm talking about the entirely legitimate question of whether Donald Trump could be compromised by the Russian government.
Oh, but the poor dears. A year-long investigation by a former FBI boss concluded that there was no collusion, and now a special counsel, John Durham, is investigating how the material behind these collusion claims was put together. And the results so far are dynamite.
He directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election that President Trump won in November of 2016. This document was then used as the foundation for everything that came next. It was essentially a years-long coup that was launched against President Trump before he even had the opportunity to take his oath of office and be sworn in as President of the United States. So, as you know, there was a Mueller investigation that went on for years, cost taxpayers nearly $40 million. There were 2 congressional impeachments. President Trump and almost every member of his family were smeared and attacked, faced lawsuits, depositions. High-level officials were investigated, some were arrested and put in jail. The list goes on and on about the ramifications of this, but foundational to it all was the fact that we had in President Obama and his leadership team people who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting president of the United States.
Director.
Woo! This stinks of Hillary Clinton as well. Wake me up when someone ends up in jail. Trump is clearly desperate to change this subject. Do not change the subject. I want to talk about that because I do think there's a lot of veracity and truthfulness in this. However, that whole Epstein files boondoggle, I don't think that needs to go away either, though. What does this guy say right here? They couldn't have done this without the media covering for them. I agree 100% there for sure. Got one more. Yeah. The Nobel Peace Prize he received should be returned. He isn't a peace person. And that is, I think, actually, I want to know what he got the Nobel Peace Prize for. That's what I think we should need to have that question. But please let me know, what do you think? Do you believe that this, well, I mean, this story is real? And do you think there's going to be any legs to it? Do you think it's going to result in anybody getting arrested? Anybody facing some real bona fide consequences? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for rocking with us. I really appreciate you tapping in and seeing what we're doing over here. I'm glad that you're finding value in it. Let me know if you made it all the way to the end. Comment down below. Let me know, do you think this case has got some legs? And also let me know if you think that it might be a smokescreen. You know, let me know if you think it has a smoke screen. So if you think it has legs, put a runner emoji in the chat. If you think it's a smoke screen, put a fire in the chat. That'll be a good way of seeing that, hey, this is just a smoke screen. I appreciate y'all so much for rocking with us. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.